Recognize this badge? I don't blame you if you don't recognize it, as this brand has been absent for the past few decades. Once a symbol of British Leyland, it now has Chinese backing and influence. But this may not be a bad thing, and the Chinese backing has spawned this, the MGHS. This isn't a brand new car and has been on the market for some time, but is this still a likable SUV? Let's find out. But before we begin, do remember to subscribe if you haven't already and click on the bell icon. The HS, while it doesn't look too bad, I do get the feeling that MG took some inspiration from other well-known brands. MG even states it in their brochure very explicitly, and I quote, "The MG HS takes its design cues from luxury SUVs." The front is visually similar to the current crop of Mazda models like your CX-8. You get full LED headlamps, DRLs, and even sequential turn signals. Everything is LED except for these halogen front fog lamps. You also get a stellar fuel grille adorning the MG badge, and the black and chrome trim pieces help to outline the features of the car. The chrome pieces extend down the sides of the car, but aside from the silver roof rack and the 18-inch alloy wheels, which do come as standard, this HS otherwise looks quite unassuming. This review unit is wearing the new pearl white option, but the other colors available are red, blue and black, which seems suspiciously familiar to the colors of the Union Jack. Coincidence? The HS looks like a different vehicle around the back. I bet you, if you park this beside the current generation Mercedes GLA, some might not be able to tell them apart. You get full LED tail lamps, and the overall business end is actually very clean, with subtle badging that doesn't scream in your face like other cars. You also get twin exhausts, which actually sound damn impressive for an SUV, all things considered. But more on that later. The HS also comes with a power tailgate, which is, it does take its time, but better to have it than not, right? In its default configuration, you get 463 liters of boot space, but you can also fold the seats down 60-40 to create up to 1,287 liters. You also get these storage bins at the bottom here, so you can store smaller items, preventing them from running around while you're driving. It may not be the fanciest in terms of design, but overall the HS styling does work, albeit taking some inspiration from other manufacturers. It may not be futuristic or high-tech looking, but crucially, it is not trying too hard and ends up looking inoffensive to the eyes. Now, let's take a look at the interior. Jump into the HS, and the first thing you'll notice is space. SUVs like this benefit from tall headroom, and you get loads of leg room to stretch. This is my driving position, by the way. 3 adults can also fit very nicely back here thanks to the almost flat floor, so you don't have those kind of awkward leg rubbing with your other passengers. You can knock down this center armrest, which looks quite posh and comes with a storage bin and fancy cup holders. Rear passengers also get decent ventilation thanks to rear aircon located in the center console, and they get 2 USB ports for charging. You also get a panoramic sunroof, which comes as standard on this car, and the front half can open to let fresh air in, if you're the kind of driver that likes to drive without aircon. Interestingly, the front features sport seats with proper bolstering and electric controls, and this is a theme that continues around the HS. Like, it doesn't really know what it wants to be in life, a family-centric cruiser or a more sporty machine. Still, where I'm sitting in the driver's seat, it does feel rather premium. All of your touch points are covered in nice soft materials, and the leather steering wheels also feels nicely proportioned. The instrument cluster is a mixture of analog dials and a digital screen, and the best part about this is the estimated fuel range. It's just so big, and it screams at you. Look, you have 366 km of range remaining. For entertainment, this car features a 10.1-inch touchscreen, which somewhat resembles a Windows Phone from the early 2010s. It does its job, but the one complaint I have is that it is very laggy to use. You do get dedicated buttons down here for your volume or to navigate to home easier. But crucially, stuff like your aircon HVAC controls are on your touchscreen and not a physical button. Laggy screen combined with touch controls, and you can see why this may be a problem and not the most elegant solution while driving. Down here, you get two USB ports and a 12V outlet for charging, and this is where you plug your USB cable in to access your Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The HS comes with a 6-speaker sound system, but if you're the audio enthusiast kind of guy, you can also tune this to your custom settings. You can divert the audio to various parts of the car and even adjust the EQ settings to make it sound better. To match your music and by extension your sick gaming desktop setup at home, you also have ambient lighting, which is surprisingly full RGB configurable. The center console features 4 dedicated buttons for stuff like your hazard light, your mode selector and your auto start stop. And you do get this petite gear shifter, which doesn't intrude too much into your cabin. The HS also features an electronic parking brake, and one interesting quirk is that in this center glove box, you have a slit at the bottom which you can open and divert some of the aircon into this glove box, essentially turning it into a cooler box. So you can put your drinks in here and keep them cool in this stupid Singapore weather. Overall, add all of these things up, and the HS makes a statement for itself, which is even more impressive considering the fact that for one period of time, this entire car was sold for less than 100k brand new. Now, all that's left to do is to see how she fares on the roads. So here are the headline figures for the MG HS. You get a 1.5 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder engine that produces 160 brake horsepower and 250 Newton meters of torque. The gearbox is a 7-speed dual clutch transmission, and it can do 0 to 100 km per hour in just 9.9 seconds. Your top speed is 190 km per hour, and the fuel efficiency is 14.7 km per litre from the manufacturer. Yes, you heard me right. This HS has a proper DCT gearbox inside, so it can apply the power where it's needed. At speed, this is reasonably smooth. However, this gearbox does become a bit jerky at lower speeds, so getting off the line from a standstill can be quite a challenge. Apply a bit too much throttle and the car tends to lunge forward. This car doesn't have ridiculous amounts of power, but the 160 brake horsepower and, more crucially, the 250 Newton meters of torque available to you makes overtaking fairly easy. Drop a gear and disappear. Well, not really disappear, but at least the other car is now behind you. This car does look quite tame on the outside, but press the throttle a bit more enthusiastically and you start to realize that the HS actually makes quite a joyous sound. See what I mean? People will expect a riced-out sports car coming by, but they'll be even more confused when they turn their heads and they see this. The 8-year-old inside of me really likes the sound the HS makes. And it gets even more pronounced when you press this cheeky little red button down here, dubbed the Super Sport. Press it and it gives you a short burst of extra power and a lot more sound. Lovely. The HS does do a good job with keeping noise and vibration to a minimum while driving, minus the fun-loving exhaust. And your ride is actually quite comfortable and gentle, so this is actually not a bad car for daily commuting. The power steering is set up to be a bit more comfortable and lazy, if you will, but this is where it gets a bit more confusing. You do get 4 modes: normal, eco, sport and custom, but none of these modes actually change the feel of the steering wheel. The steering feels the same regardless of what mode you're in. And this can be quite scary if, for example, you're in sport mode and you want to take the next corner enthusiastically. This car is not as confidence inspiring. Which brings me on to why this car can be confusing. It does sound great and it is very comfortable, but I just feel that it is trying to be 2 different cars at the same time. Something like a split personality, which can actually affect the overall owner experience as a whole. The HS isn't the latest or greatest model on the car market now, but its competitive price back then made it quite a popular choice among car buyers. Of course, since then, prices have skyrocketed quite a bit, and this car now sits pretty at 180k at the time of this video, thanks to everyone's most hated piece of legal paper in Singapore, the COE. Similar to the drink, I can't decide whether I like one side over the other. But who's to say you can't enjoy both sides? And if you're someone that likes its split personality, then this car is still a solid choice 2 years on. That's it for this mReview. Do remember to like, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you again on another episode.